Shine, everyone. Thank you for joining us here on Sunrise. Jason Hackett and Alicia Lewis with you. Stepping outside this morning, noticeably cooler.
And breathe in.
You can breathe
deep breath,
in.
John, it's nice.
Oh, it is great. It is great. It's nice to just have that freshness back. I'm looking up at the sky and it's blue over here, still a little hazy on the west, but there's blue skies. You take that stuff for granted, and it's back. Today's gonna be a great day. I talked about it. Hey, it's nice out here. It's cool. It's a little crisp. June, how many places in the country in June can you be in the 40s? 44 in St. Cloud, even a lot of the metro around the metro is around 50. It is 54 in the Twin Cities, always a tad warmer in the metro. Let's zoom in here. The only spot we really have any patchy fog, we don't have any here in Golden Valley, but you can see it around the metro. Already starting to really shift off in towards areas in looks like western Wisconsin here. But I did drive in on 212 and there was a little bit of patchy fog. It didn't really slow me down, but I do want you to be aware of it just in case it gets dense when you travel down a hill or go into a valley. It might be a little bit thicker. So a little bit of fog this morning. We'll talk about the gorgeous weather coming in that forecast. Cece, how's the visibility out there?
Hey there, seeing some light fog here near Hastings. Good morning if you're watching from there. Anytime there's fog, we know that you need to use your low beams as you head out the door. Other places where I'm seeing heavy fog, I'm seeing that over in Hudson. You'll really need to take it slow there and put on those low beams as you're headed into the Twin Cities. But other than that, fog really isn't impacting the morning commute too much. But taking a look here at the bigger map, not seeing a lot of slowing either this morning, not a lot of crashes, dry roads compared to this time yesterday morning. When I see you next, we're going to talk about construction. There's a project happening in a couple of hours up in the Ramsey-Anoka area, Highway 10. So I'll have more details just after 6:15.
Cece, thank you very much. Let's turn to our top story here at 6 a.m. The Minneapolis Police Department is just a few hours away from launching Operation Safe Summer.
Yeah, the plan is zeroing in on crime hotspots and violent offenders, with the Boom Island shooting really top of mind for many. Our Audrey Russo is joining us this morning to lay it all out. Hey, Audrey.
Hey, Jason, Alicia. Yeah, it's hard to talk about the start of this initiative without thinking about what happened in Boom Island Park just a couple of days ago. That deadly shooting looming large over the 4th straight year of Operation Safe Summer. So Minneapolis police says that this is an initiative that really zeroes in on a small number of people who they say cause a disproportionately large amount of crime in the city. Between 2022 and 2024, Operation Safe Summer has recovered more than 120 guns and has made roughly 300 arrests. Now, it also targets illegal drugs with the help of several local, state, and federal law enforcement agencies. Today at 9:30, officers will answer questions about how this year's program could differ from that of years past. And no doubt they'll receive questions about the Boom Island Park shooting. In fact, I reached out this morning to see if there have been any arrests made. But there's other reasons why the start of summer is such a critical point in the calendar year for an initiative like this one. I'll break down some of those reasons coming up in about 30 minutes. But for now, Jason, Alicia, I'll send things back to you.
Audrey, thank you. We'll check back in 30. We're also following a developing situation out of South Minneapolis. There's still chaos and confusion this morning, more than 12 hours after federal law enforcement agents descended on a Mexican restaurant there.
Now, protesters believing it was an immigration raid started gathering and getting into clashes with police. Michelle Beck is at the live desk tracking the very latest for us. Michelle.
Well, good morning. Look here at the boxes federal authorities are walking out with. It's unclear this morning what was inside them as a crowd gathered around them. Well, here's Minneapolis police trying to clear up some confusion. Quote, MPD was not involved in any immigration enforcement activities yesterday, nor were we given advance notice of any such operation. Any claims to the contrary are false. Tension centering around this Mexican restaurant on East Lake Street as both MPD and the mayor say what actually happened was a federal criminal search warrant for drugs and money laundering. The FBI, ICE, DA, and ATF were all there, and so was a crowd of people thinking this was an ICE raid. You can see the confrontations, at least one person putting their hands on an officer and people getting pushed aside. One woman telling us she was tear gassed.
Regardless of what was taking place here, the fact that, there are agents who are militarized, they deployed tear gas on community members. Whatever was happening is completely unacceptable.
So what you just saw here was in South Minneapolis, and we know also yesterday authorities actually raided the same restaurant at a different location, this one in Bloomington. Minneapolis officials say no arrests were made related to the warrant. As for any protesters arrested or detained, I reached out to MPD this morning, and I'm still waiting to hear back. Back to you.
Michelle, thank you. All right, we do have an update now on a story that we brought to you as breaking news yesterday morning here on Sunrise. A deadly shooting involving authorities out of Painesville. That's about 90 minutes northwest of Minneapolis. Right now, 5 Stearns County Sheriff's deputies are on standard administrative leave. Painesville police say it started with a domestic dispute involving an armed man who locked himself in the basement. They say shots were fired when officers tried taking him into custody. It's not clear if the officers were the ones who fired the fatal shot. Police say they found a gun at the scene. The BCA is currently investigating.
While you were sleeping, tariffs on steel and aluminum imports doubled. President Trump increasing them from 25% to 50%. We've been checking on the U.S. Futures Board all morning long here. Right now, it's in the green ahead of opening bell in a few hours. The tariffs will remain at 25% for now on imports from the U.K. until possible changes starting on July 9th. The president says encouraging domestic production of steel and aluminum is a matter of national security. But a trade group called the Can Manufacturers Institute is warning this could raise prices on groceries.
In just a matter of hours, Governor Walz will meet with state lawmakers on the budget. They were supposed to meet yesterday, but it got postponed. This comes as we're still waiting to find out when Walz will call a special session to pass budget bills. They need to have a budget in place before July 1st to pass it and avoid a government shutdown.
Time now 6:07 this morning. Thousands of nurses will be on the picket line at hospitals across the Twin Cities. The Minnesota Nurses Association is demanding action on issues like understaffing and unsafe conditions. They say their contracts will be up at the end of the month for nurses in the Twin Cities. The first picket begins this morning at 9:30 in St. Paul.